Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another edition of Hilaal Live. My name's Luqman Shadrack, all the way from the Cape Town studios. Jummah Mubarak to you and your family. I trust you had a good one, Good Friday. You can see the ties off. It's closer to weekend, so time to relax and enjoy. And as we do on a Friday, we have our What's On segment, which tells you a little more about what's happening in and around our beautiful city and around the country as well. And we've invited back in studio Fahiem Stellenboom. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Wonderful to be here. I see the ties off. I quite like this look, I must say.
I am ready for the weekend. It's been a good week. You know, last week we missed What's On because we were in Durban covering the sports event. Yeah. So it's been a long week, and thanks for coming back. And I'm sure you are busy on your side as well. The temperature is a little cold in certain areas. However, events are opening up. There's so much to do in our beautiful city.
You know what? I think I may even have said this last week. It is unbelievable the amount of theatre that happens in the city, even more than Johannesburg. And the Joburg artists are forever sort of saying there's so much going on in Cape Town, and it's great because there are probably more theatres, or probably even, but there's as you know, there's a lot more higher income group people that go to theatre there. It's a whole different vibe. So it's very exciting for us in Cape Town that there's so much going on and that the diversity of it.
I think so too. And you guys are off to Edinburgh, I think, tomorrow with Michael Kay. Production.
Well, that is why I got here just in time, because our cast leaves, some of them this evening. Some of them go tomorrow. They go to Galway first.
Lovely.
For next week, and then from there they go on to Edinburgh, and they fly into Dublin, and then you take a train from Dublin to Galway. So it's a hell of a trip for them,
of course.
But at least they're in another country.
Huge accomplishment, and I think kudos to everyone in the production and to you guys at the Baxter as well for showcasing such wonderful talent and puppetry. Coming to the theatre on stage as well. I think it's a huge accolade. Fahiem, what do you have for us this week? What's happening in our beautiful city?
Okay, so I'm going to talk first about one of the country's favourites comedians, Mark Lottery. Everybody loves Mark. So he's currently on at the Theatre on the Bay until next week, and he's doing his show called So I Wrote This Musical. He debuted this at the Baxter earlier this year. The idea was, and Mark always does, and in fact most of the comedians do that, they kind of test the waters first and kind of see what the response is and stuff. And this time he wrote the So I Wrote the Musical, and he's basically sort of saying, how did I, from being a comedian, sort of suddenly in a stand-up comedian, suddenly I'm involved with big musicals. The amazing thing, of course, about the Auntie Mill musicals that he did was that he wrote all of it.
Brilliant.
The music, he wrote the text for it. He was assisted by our CEO, Lara Foote, who's also, as you know, a director and writer. And so with this one, that he was on his own. The stand-up stuff is always on his own, but it was the fact that he had this jump from being a stand-up comedian to doing this kind of thing as Auntie Mill, where it's a character that he has to, one of his own characters that he created in his stand-up shows, but that he also had to kind of sustain, 2 hours of entertaining an audience. Brilliant. It's not very, very easy.
And all these characters also came to life in this production, because in the past productions we would hear the names and it would be fictitious characters, and now he brought all these characters to life. I mean, I saw one of them, Auntie Mill, it's a girl, I think, and it was hilarious.
And the thing is that he sells out. The musicals sold out, all of them, every season sold out. So they are popular because people also just want to laugh, and because it's a character that you can almost kind of, we all have that auntie. Of course. She happens to be from Belgravia Road. I'm not even going to talk about that. Of course. But that auntie. So he's written this this new stand-up comedy show, So I Wrote This Musical, and it goes, it's all about that. And of course, as Mark does, and he can't help himself, he weaves into what it is like to experience a little slice of a day in Cape Town, or a day in South Africa. So it's on at the Theatre of the Bay. It's on until next weekend. It's a short run.
Beautiful theatre. I mean, just scenic.
I mean, I know. The difficulty there, of course, is the parking. Which is a problem. But it's beautiful to drive out there. And I mean, they do very different productions to what the other theatres do. But it's good for him to have a showcase there because it also is a very different audience. The Camps Bay audience is a very different audience. It's an older audience. It's a kind of largely white audience in a way. And they enjoy. I mean, the thing about Mark Lotting and a lot of our comedians is that everybody enjoys them, and the Allen committees, they're all the same. So he's on at Theatre on the Bay, and highly recommended. The show is coming to the Baxter later this year, I'm pleased to say, sort of over the festive season. So if you don't catch it at the Theatre on the Bay, at least we'll catch it at the Baxter. Catch it. We're busy planning it now, so I don't know if I should have let that.
Your 13th chick. You can save and your holiday bonus and go to
I mean, we haven't even announced it yet. Or,
I'm not saying that it's that expensive, but I mean, like, you can plan around that. There's always something to do.
Yeah. And again, it's festive season. People want to go out and they want to laugh.
Brilliant.
And then from, of course, the one thing I must say, being Hilaal TV, that it's not suitable for children, as most of Mark's shows are, because, Mark...
Age restriction.
Age restriction, absolutely, because, Mark Fluke and
he's Mark's guttural. Let's put it that way. He tells it like it is, the way people express themselves in
precisely.
every day.
And what often is that it's almost an expectation from audiences, and most comedians get away with it. I mean, I remember that we had something at the Baxter, also the Comedy Festival, and somebody had objected to it wasn't really nudity, it was just a moment of a quick change on stage. And then I had to explain to this person that we put out the PG and whatever, it's on the ticket, it's everywhere, it's when you book, so it is there is an age restriction for a reason. But the thing is that this is what audiences expect in a way, because again, the Funny Festival, which we spoke about last week, was sold out. So audiences are going to it, and I think people just want to kind of, they want something to be accessible. They want to be able to laugh, and they sort of feel, okay, that little funny moment where Diana se broek afgeval het, that at least happened to them. What I mean? Yeah. So let's move from the theatre on the Bay, the comedy, and we go to ballet.
Oh, lovely.
We have at Artscape, running at the moment, only until Sunday, the Swan Lake, which is one of my favorite ballets. Of course, I love the music, Tchaikovsky's music, and it really is. I mean, and it's probably one of the most popular ballets that exist in the world.
That's on at the Artscape, right?
It's in Artscape.
One of my guests
House.
Last week went there, Shamila Safadin.
Oh, I see. Okay,
loved it.
It's absolutely. I mean, it's one of my favorite ballets, and to have the Russians do it, where it originated from, I mean, it's quite special. So they are on at Artscape doing it, but they I mean, it was by about April this year, they had already sold 30,000 tickets. This is how popular this particular ballet company is, and also I suppose ballet in a way. So they had to put in an extra performance, which they did on the 12th of July. They put in an extra performance, but it's popular, and they again sold out. And I have to say, for me, it's the kind of one ballet that I think you can't object to. It's a classic. It's a sort of beautiful timeless little traditional story. It's timeless, etc. All those sort of things. So I'm very, very pleased that audiences here are able to see it. Brilliant. But at least I can share something that is also going national, because from here they go to the Teatro at Monte Cassino to Johannesburg. And they start there on Wednesday, the 26th. So that is it. And again, for both performances, they are accompanied by orchestras.
Lovely.
In Cape Town, they were with the Cape Town Philharmonic Orchestra, and in Joburg, they will be with the Johannesburg Festival Orchestra. So I don't know them terribly well, but it is something that if you have a chance, it's this weekend. There may be a couple of tickets left. Booking for that, though, is not through web tickets. That is CompuTicket, because CompuTicket is the old version of where people could book. Or they can go to ShopRite or Checkers stores. Web tickets, interestingly, when people book, for example, Baxter's web tickets, Theatre on the Bay's web tickets. They just
quite accessible.
It's accessible because web tickets again has Pick and Pay. If you don't want to go online, you can go to Pick and Pay. But for Joburg audiences, again, it's fantastic. They can go and see it if they love ballet. And I'm always very surprised to see some of the people in the foyers when I go to the ballet, to think this is very nice to see.
Of course, it's a wide range of audience.
And what is interesting is that sort of, especially matinees, where the daddy's standing in the foyer and I say, "Salaam alaikum, lovely to see you here." Yes. The daughter wanted to come, what I mean, or something, and that's always sweet. And I think I don't know, I work in the arts. I have been in the arts for most of my life, and I do believe that there's something about the arts that is just fundamental to our development, and it should do that, whether it's something light or whether it's something like a bit of a drama. It's just one of those things. Nice. And so I would encourage people to go and see theatre, and I would encourage them, get their kids to be involved. Absolutely. With it, because it teaches so many other things. And I can't. I have to confess, my training was that of a classical ballet dancing, and my flamenco was my first love, but I did classical ballet training, and I think it taught me an incredible amount, and has helped me to in my position today, because I literally
in your career.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You made a career out of it as well.
Absolutely.
I can picture you in White Nights, the movie back in the day.
Yes, but not White Tights. I prefer White Nights, but not White Tights. No, that's not going to happen, I'll be, carry on?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. What else is happening?
And so tomorrow morning is a special morning. This morning I was fortunate to be able to go to the graduation, and they had the kind of, the doctorates that they were giving out, and my former Spanish dance teacher, having just mentioned Spanish dance, Veronica Williams, who for many years was also the secretary at Livingston High School, not far from here, received a posthumously because she passed away, and so she got an honorary doctorate this morning, so that was quite a special moment. And so what is exciting for us is that tomorrow the Baxter has given the venue where there will be a celebration of her life. Lovely. And already we are sitting, I think, on 400, 500 people in the concert hall who are going to come and attend it, because Veronica was one of those teachers who didn't only teach you dance. She was like that kind of mother figure that taught you integrity. We were in the dark days of apartheid, and so the whole issue of politically where you come from, and remembering where you come from, and remembering what the situation was at the time. So a lot of the work that was done was what we call dance dramas, and it kind of it gave already then. I mean, I'm talking about in the late 70s, early 80s. We were doing work that dealt with the political situation in the country. If not that, it dealt with the kind of unfairness, injustice in the world, or even things like relationships between parents and kids, abuse and that sort of stuff. So a lot of important work that was done, so much so that she was able for UCT to acknowledge the work that she did in the arts. So her life will be celebrated tomorrow at the Baxter, and I mean it is essentially for invited guests. But I think it's just very, very important for us to be able to celebrate those sort of things. And many of our artists, as you know, one of the big things have been overlooked for a long, long time, and we need to acknowledge what it is that they do.
Absolutely. Thanks to the Baxter for doing that as well. Right, so after the break, we chat to a director who is part of the Edinburgh group that's going, but also directing a child-friendly play called Surge, also puppeteers right here at the Baxter as well. Fahiem, we're going to chat to the director just after the break. Thanks for watching Hilaal Live. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Hilaal Live. Thanks for joining us on Channel 347 on DSTV. We're chatting about all things theatre related, and we're very privileged and honoured to have in studio director of a latest production at the Baxter, and also part of the life and times of Michael Kay that we chatted about a couple of weeks ago, off to Edinburgh tomorrow. In studio, Roshina Ratbam. Good evening, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. Congratulations, first of all, on Michael Kay.
Thank you.
You guys must be super proud on making that trip to Edinburgh.
So excited, and we're hoping to wave our flag high and proudly.
We like to hear. That's what we love
to share our story.
And how big's the cast that's going?
On stage, it's 9 of us, but there's a lot of extra company members that are going as well to kind of do the backstage stuff.
Are you going with as well?
No, I'm not going. They don't want me to go. In 2017, we took 6 productions. The Baxter took 6 productions, and we kind of won 2 Fringe Firsts Award,
man.
which are the 2 big awards. And we're hoping to do the same this year. You better make sure that you do that.
Atal and,
no pressure.
Yeah.
It's just that the exchange rate is really,
Of course.
and we need technical hands very much, because it's a multi-layered production.
Of
There's
course.
film, there's composition, there's all sorts of lighting, all sorts of stuff to it. So, and besides that, we also have a very big production opening at the Baxter, which needs love and care.
I see.
Stuff, yeah.
Gotcha.
The cast, I mean, some of them are leaving tonight of the backstage people, and Roshina and the rest of them leave tomorrow. They go to Galway first for next week, and then so it's quite it sounds very exciting and very glamorous, but it is quite a challenge.
Yeah.
Well, I've just got in my ear whispered now. My technical on technical said you're welcome to use him as well. Roshina, stranger to stage and theatre. Tell our viewers a bit more about some of the work you've done over the years.
I've been in theatre for over 20 years and everything that you can think of. But for me, my journey, where I'm at and what I identify as is a puppeteer.
Okay.
And that journey has been for the last 12 years. So as a professional puppeteer, I've been working mostly in theatre, but also on TV with ZA News, which is a political satire store.
Yes.
I was there for 6 years puppeteering there. I've worked with Janny Young with Handspring. I have my own company. We specialize in theatre for babies, but all around object theatre and puppetry and visual work for all ages.
Amazing. And some of the productions that you've been part of for the very many years?
I've just gone most recently, I would say, obviously, Life and Times of Michael Kay, and we did a puppetry version of Hamlet.
Oh.
Yeah, and then there's a production called Origins, which toured to Russia, a production that we made called Lumka, which was also at the Baxter, which represented South Africa at the BRICS Festival in 2019. So a lot of different puppetry productions, yeah.
And of course, you were at the Baxter years ago as Ophelia.
I was, and now I play Gertrude.
Wow.
It was also Hamlet. She played the role of Ophelia, and we actually went to England with that. We went to the Royal Shakespeare Company. It was an exchange we did with them, and Dame Janet Suzman directed the play.
No way.
And she played Ophelia.
That's true.
And now, and in this puppet version that we also earlier this year at the Baxter, she was Gertrude.
We went to the International Chicago Puppetry Festival in January.
What is the equivalent of Dame in South Africa?
There isn't such a thing.
We should start something like that, right? Okay.
Well,
so your latest production is going to be on at the Baxter.
Yes.
It started today. Congratulations on that as well. Tell us a bit about the play and how the history of the play, basically.
It's such a privilege to be in this production. So I got a call from Jenny Resnick, who works at Magnet Theatre, and they had been approached by the city of Cape Town to create a production about climate change, specifically aimed at high school students. It's a very big topic, and Jenny approached me specifically because the company had not worked with puppets before.
I see.
So she wanted to combine the two things. And I came in, and it's such a large topic, and not the happiest or the most kind of like
For sure. It's not a topic you want to speak about, but it
has to be spoken about. And in fact,
absolutely.
it's actually it's either now or never. And actually, the young people in our lives really are the ones that need to make change now. So we really focused on this production, working with the actors who also had the same, I would say, issue around feeling that climate change was far away. It was this abstract concept. And one simple conversation about the fact that we have load shedding, day zero, all of these things are related to climate change.
Right.
We're dependent on non-renewable resources, all of this stuff. And when they realized how close it is, that it's not this abstract thing that's far away. And actually, if we don't do something about this now, challenge our politicians, challenge the people that are making choices on our behalf, for them as well as young people, things are going to go a really kind of scary way. Yeah. But I think more importantly, it's about recognizing that we all have power.
Of course.
And that nothing is beyond our control if we just focus on it.
And it's not just a linear approach to the topic. You need to have a circular approach when it comes to how you identify with climate change and how it's going to affect us, is affecting us, and how it's going to affect us. So what are some of the issues that you cover in the play?
It's interesting because we came into it and we grappled from it from all sides. I mean, you can do it economically, you can do it culturally, you can do agriculture, you can do it how people are moving from urban areas to rural. There's so many different things that affect us. But what we focused on was trying to make it as a personal story between two people who relate to nature and resources differently.
Right.
We bring in the topics of colonialism and capitalism and these things that have affected us, especially in Africa and in third world countries. We're often the most vulnerable or the first people to suffer.
Of course.
So we touch on these things, and we usually have a Q&A after the show, which allows the young people to ask the questions and to be challenged and to challenge each other. And so what we've done is created quite a simple story with no answer.
Okay.
It's very open-ended because there is no answer.
Right.
The answer is, how do we make change and how to be the change we want to see in the world?
Okay. So, obviously somebody watching this would say, look, I'm interested. I identify with climate change. I identify with the issues surrounding that as well. Why should they come and watch it? I mean, what would they take home from that?
I mean, there's so many things. It's a beautiful show, and it's 40 minutes long. It's designed by Hansi Visagie, which for me he's puppet royalty. He was of Hastas Niskas fame, Billy Vali, Billy Hexie. Like he's a legend. And the fact that he came and he taught our puppeteers to build their own puppets. All the puppets are recycled. 90% of the set is recycled. Nothing's been bought new. It's beautiful. It's touching. It transports you. It's a family show, but it's also it moves you. And so this particular style of theatre is not something that you see very often.
Absolutely.
And I think that in and of itself it's an important thing to do. But and the topic and the fact that the more often we engage in conversations with our families, with each other around these things, the more likely we are to be mindful and make different choices down to recycling.
I think we are light years behind when it comes to knowing about and identifying with climate change. And sometimes we think, the next generation can worry about it. No,
absolutely.
Exactly.
We've got to get that right. I mean, the very simplest thing that we are faced with every day is to just look at what the weather has been like and how it's changing.
Yeah.
In the UK, they were having heat waves. And people were kind of dying
China's
of heat
going
waves.
through that now as well.
Going through that. And here we are sitting with the kind of temperatures and the weather. Snow in Joburg the other day.
Absolutely.
They seem to have enjoyed getting the snow in Joburg because it was, of course, very new and it was exciting. But it's not that great if you have to live with it all the time. Yeah. To come back to the production surge that Roshina is directing. We saw the production earlier this year when it had its outing at the Magnet Theatre at their studios in Observatory. And I went with a couple of colleagues and stuff, and it was magical.
Awesome.
When we saw it straight away, and from various points of view, only because it's not an easy story. However, it is really done so beautifully. And what I think was also more special was to see the response of the young people afterwards.
That's what I like.
The scholars, the high school students, learners, it was amazing.
Absolutely. Fahiem and Roshina, thanks so much for coming into studio. All the very best with your trip. Fahiem, thanks once again. We'll link up next Friday, inshallah. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you so much. And that's how we round up What's On a Friday evening. Coming up, we've got Asghar Job taking us into the fitness side. If it's coming into spring now, we start getting our mindset to, we need to get that summer body ready. So Asghar's going to encourage us on how to do that as well. You are still watching Hilaal Live.